Hello everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel Maths Plus. So today I am here to discuss class 10 NCERT lesson 2 chapter polynomial, which will be involving a short topic, that is we have to show the relationship between the zeros and the coefficients of a polynomial. So here polynomial we have to think of only quadratic polynomial, because in 9th class we have already studied about linear polynomial. So here we will be only discussing about the quadratic polynomial, its zeros, and how the zeros of that quadratic polynomial are related to the coefficients of that particular polynomial. Okay, so discuss that. So I have written one question here. Find the zeros of the quadratic polynomial 2x square plus x minus 15 and verify a relationship between the zeros and its coefficients. So I'll be discussing the solution, then we can know how the zeros and coefficients are related. If I discuss the general form of a quadratic polynomial, what it is? It is ax square plus bx plus c, isn't it? So we represent this as what? P of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c, where a is the coefficient of x square, b is the coefficient of x, and c is what? Constant, isn't it? So we have already got to know how the quadratic polynomial is represented in the general form, or we can say the standard form also. So let me discuss how the coefficients of the quadratic polynomial will be related to the zeros of the quadratic polynomial of that particular quadratic polynomial. So let us solve this and find out the relationship. The solution part I am doing. So to find the zeros of the quadratic polynomial, we have to, what we have to do? We have to find out the factorization of that polynomial. Because if factorization is done, then we can find the zeros of that quadratic polynomial very easily. And if you must be remembering, in class 9 we have read about zeros of a polynomial or zero of a polynomial. Zeros means what? The particular value of x for that quadratic polynomial or linear polynomial or any degree polynomial. The value of the polynomial will be 0. Then that value of the x will be the zero of that polynomial. Okay, so let us find out the zeros of this quadratic polynomial. So what it is? So p of x is given how much? 2x square plus x minus 15. So you have to factorize it. So factorization involves different method. We can use the algebraic identities like a plus b whole square identity, a minus b whole square identity, a square minus b square wala identity. Then another one you must be knowing, x plus a whole into what? X plus b, which is related to what? Your middle term splitting method. So let us use this and factorize it. Now you see, what does x square contains as the coefficient? 2. That means 2 is a coefficient of x square. So we have to apply the middle term splitting method and you have to factorize it. So let us find out. So as you see here, this is a quadratic polynomial and we have to use the middle term splitting method. So you see, x square is containing 2 as the coefficient. Since it is containing 2 as the coefficient, that means other than 1. So what we do? We have to multiply 2 and 15. So how much it is becoming? 2 into 15 is how much? 30. That means product is 30. So now this 30 has to be splitted into such two numbers whose product will be 30 and their difference or sum will be 1. Okay, so because this is the middle term, x is the middle term here. So now 30 can be split as 1 into 30, that is 2 into 15, then 3 into 10, then 5 into 6. So here we just judge. 5 into 6 is 30 and we have also 6 minus 5 is equal to 1. So we can use this 6 and 5. So let us split the middle term. So it will be 2x square plus 6x minus 5x minus 15. Now the next step is you have to regroup, because you see plus 6x minus 5x is equal to x or not? Plus x. So now we have splitted the middle term. So now you have to regroup it. 2x square plus 6x, how much it is? 2x plus 6 square within bracket. Then if you keep this in the bracket, so this sign will be changing, because we have here you see minus sign is there before the bracket. So obviously inside the bracket the sign will change. So now let us take out the common factor. So here the common factor is what? 2x, and it will be remaining here as x, and it is here as 3. Then here, if 5 is taken common, then it will be also x plus 3. And these two terms you see, x plus 3 is common. So x plus 3 is taken common. Whole into what? 2x minus 5. Now since this is factorized, so we got to know p of x is equal to 2x square plus x minus 15. We are going to factorize and we got x plus 3 whole into 2x minus 5. But we are now going to find out the zeros of this polynomial. So what you have to do? So let us do the next step, how to find out the zeros. And without factorization, zeros cannot be found out. Okay, so next step is what? So I'll be writing here the zeros of p of x. Since quadratic polynomial, it is a second degree polynomial, we will be having always two zeros. Okay, the zeros of p of x is given by what? Is given by, like, p of x is equal to 0, and since p of x is factorized, so I can say p of x is factorized, so I can say x plus 3 whole into 2x minus 5 is equal to 0, isn't it? Now the next step is what? Now x plus 3 is equated to 0 and 2x minus 5 is also equated with 0 to find out the zeros. So x is equal to, first 0 will be what? Minus 3, and the second 0 will be what? 2x is equal to 5. This implies x is equal to 5. So how many zeros you got here? Two zeros of this quadratic polynomial. What are they? One is your minus 3, another is your 5 by 2. So we got to know how many zeros here? X is equal to minus 3 and another is your x is equal to 5 by 2. So these two zeros we have obtained. Okay, so let us go to the next phase, and because you see, verifying a relationship between the zeros and its coefficients, we have to find out. We have to relate them. But only we have got what? Only the zeros we have got. The next phase is what? Finding the relationship between the zeros and its coefficients. Okay. So let me erase this. So see, after erasing, the next phase of the solution, what is that? So we know x is equal to minus 3 was 1 0 and x is equal to 5 by 2 was another 0. So let us denote them as, let alpha and beta be the two zeros of this quadratic polynomial. And alpha is equal to taken to be what? Minus 3, and beta will be taken as what? 5 by 2. Because since we are going to show the relationship, we have to go for the sum of the zeros and the product of the zeros. So let us find out the sum of the zeros. The sum of the zeros means what? Alpha plus beta. Simply we'll add and see what will happen. So alpha plus beta is how much? Minus 3 plus 5 by 2. Take the LCM, it will be minus 6 plus 5 by 2. It will be minus 1 by 2. Isn't it? So now, using the formula. Formula means what? Like sum of the zeros. Formula is what? Minus of coefficient of x whole by coefficient of x square. So now see, what was the polynomial? It is 2x square plus x minus 15. So you see here, minus of coefficient of x. Coefficient of x is what? Plus 1. So minus of plus 1. That will be what? Minus 1 by coefficient of what? X square. How much it is? 2. And you see, in both the cases I got what? Minus 1 by 2 and minus 1 by 2. So now I can say what? This sum of the zeros is related to what? The coefficient of the polynomials. Got it? So in this way, you got to know how the sum of the zeros is related to what? The coefficient of x and coefficient of x square. So this is one of the relationship. So another part is your what? Product of the zeros. So let us find out. So product of the zeros. That means we'll be finding out what? Alpha into beta, which is equal to what? Minus 3 into 5 by 2. So how much it will be? Minus 15 by 2, isn't it? So let us find out using the formula. So product of the zeros. Formula says what? Constant term by coefficient of x square is equal to what? Now see, constant term is what? Minus 15. So I'll be writing here what? Minus 15. And coefficient of x square, how much it is? 2. So here is also 2. So minus 15 by 2, and here also minus 15 by 2. Now we got to know what? Product of the zeros, if you simply multiply them, we are getting minus 5 by 15 by 2. And here also product of the zeros, when I use the formula, that means I am relating to what? Coefficients. Then I relate what? Constant term by coefficient of x square is equal to minus 15 by 2. So here shows that sum of the zeros are also verified and product of the zeros are also verified. So here I can write, we have verified the relationship between the zeros and its coefficient. It's matlab the coefficients of this quadratic polynomial 2x square plus x minus 15. So hope you understood the solution, and it's very important because it's a simple question and complicated factorization are also there. Middle term splitting will be there, but complicated factorization may be there. So let us do some important questions in my next class. So let us wind up the class. Hope you liked the class and liked the video also and understood the explanation whatever I have discussed here, and discuss the subtopic only, relationship between the zeros and the coefficients of polynomial. So we'll be further proceeding in my next video, some new questions and maybe some complicated questions. Okay, so fine then, let me wind up the class. Thank you for watching my video, and let's not forget to like, share and subscribe my video.